I am the number one influencer for that fancy company called Cozy Earth. They sell all kinds of stuff, everything from clothing to bedding, and I will admit it is all luxurious. But don't be thinking that you can't afford it, because when you use the promo code GANG, you'll get 41% off everything. So go to tjritchie.com/deals and use the code GANG for that huge 41% discount. See, it pays to know me.
News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT proudly presents America's coolest conservative. Well, proudly could be stretching it a bit. Welcome to the TJ Ritchie Show.
Well, your coolest conservative lost his cool. It's going to take me a minute to catch my breath up in here. Oh. All right, George, you can fade that down, please. That's good. That's good. All right. This is a new world for me. I am set in my ways. I have been doing things a certain way in my career, as Ursher says, in my career for a long, long time. And I'm doing this this show for fun. I'm not getting paid to be up in here. This is fun for me. But it is a different world. And I leave my house at Lake Norman right at 5 o'clock every day heading down here, because I know the traffic on the interstate is so terrible. So I leave my house 2 hours before the show starts. And then I got here today, and as soon as I got off the interstate, after an hour and something of being stuck in traffic, I get on the road to the radio station, and I am almost to the point where I could spit and hit the building. But the police have the road shut down. They've got a full roadblock set up. Now, I have never lived in the big city of Charlotte. For 6 months when we first moved here, I lived out in the university area in an apartment until we built our first little house in the Lake Norman area. So even though I can see the radio station, I don't know anything about, okay, well, then I'm just going to turn around, I'm going to jump on this street and then go over to that street and then come back around and come the other side and get to the building down the other way. I don't know how to do that. So I get out, I go and I ask the police officer there. I said, excuse me. I said, and I figured he was thinking I was going to ask him to move the barrier and let me by. But I said, I don't know. I have to go to WBT to be on the radio, and I don't know another way to get there because I live in Mooresville. So he starts telling me, okay, well, you'll just go, probably the best way would be go up here to the intersection, take a left, and then go down and look for this street and that street. So the whole time he's talking, I'm hearing, I don't know what he's saying. But I figured, hey, ever since I backed into show business, I've become a man of above average means. I have one of those fancy GPS things on my phone that will tell me how to get there. If I just go off in the other direction, then it will say rerouting and take me the other way. Well, guess what? It never did. All it kept telling me to do every few feet is make a U-turn and go back to where I was. So I haven't done a radio show as a solo host in 30-something years. And this is my second week here, so I'm starting to panic. What happens if I don't make it there by the time the show is supposed to start? Now, before, I would have been, anxious and all, but then I would have known, okay, well, my partner Ace is there and he'll just cover things until I get there. Or if both of us are stuck in traffic or something, there are other co-hosts that can carry on the show until we get there. So I'm thinking, I don't know what would happen. I guess Breaking Brett might stay a little bit longer, but then I thought, I bet he's got in his contract where he is out by a certain time. Like that Mr. Winterbull, I'm sure has that. The big stars. So I called my man Lonnie, and did it sound like I was in a panic, like I was being robbed or something? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like I was just talking out of my head, and it's like, and I wanted to just scream, "You don't understand. I am terrible with directions."
Very calm.
Okay, good. Because I didn't want to seem like a crybaby or anything. But I am like a third grader when it comes to directions, or worse, I'd say kindergartner is about what I am. So I was in a panic, and then, I'm thinking this is going to throw off the entire show. I'm not going to be worth anything tonight. Just saying that to try to get myself to say, fishing for compliments from myself. So I would go, "Oh man, no, you're the best. You're the best. You can handle it." So then I know it's frustrating when somebody calls you and says, "Where am I?" and tell me how to get to you, which is what I was doing to Lonnie. But not really. I was just calling you to say, have a plan together, because I may not be there at 7 when the show's about to start. But he nicely started giving me directions and alternate routes and everything. And where are you? And I told him somehow I ended up on 85 South going toward the airport. And then I got off on Billy Graham. And I don't know why I did that. Maybe because I knew where my old radio station was. And I thought, well, if I can get there, then maybe it will send me to the next closest radio station. I don't know. It just looked familiar, and I knew that I could go there and I would be familiar with the area. And the whole time the GPS is telling me turn here. But Lonnie had told me to look for Wilkinson off of the Billy Graham, right? Isn't that what you said? And take a right, and then get to West Moorhead that way.
Yeah.
And I called him and I said, "Man, I'm already almost back to I-77, and I haven't seen either one of those." And then I start thinking, okay, here's what I'm going to do. If I see that I'm going to be late, the show starts, I'm going to get Lonnie to call me and put me on the air, and then he can talk me into the radio station. People may be interested in that, to keep up with the saga of, is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? Kind of thing. But then I finally, and everywhere I went, the traffic was bad. And it's like 6:30, 6:35, and it's getting closer and closer. So then I knew from working at that radio station over there, where it was at the time over by the NBC building, the Billy Graham Library and all that, I knew that I could get back to I-77, and then I was worried that it was just going to take me right back to where the road was blocked. It was touch and go there, lady and gentlemen. You almost didn't have your beloved host tonight. Then I'm thinking, oh man, what am I going to get into a neighborhood I shouldn't be in? I start thinking all that. Now I realized I forgot something important in my truck in the parking lot, and I don't think I'm going to have time to go get it during the break. See, I'm just thrown off completely. I don't know whether I can continue. I don't know. But yeah, that traffic thing is taking the fun out of working for fun. I'm normally in my regular schedule before I started this night job. I am 45 minutes away from going to bed in my 30-something year schedule. But here I am in here just fighting for you people. I am a man of the people, taking all the abuse. I'm a martyr, in case you don't realize that by now. I am a martyr fighting for the love of the people. You, the radio family. And I hope you appreciate it. All right. Now I got to figure out what I was planning on talking about tonight. And so I'll try to do that and then try to go to my truck and get what I left in there that's important. And I may not make it. We'll just hang on to find out if I'm back on the air in the next few minutes.
More of the TJ Ritchie Show is coming up.
I am the number one influencer for that fancy company called Cozy Earth. They sell all kinds of stuff, everything from clothing to bedding, and I will admit it is all luxurious. But don't be thinking that you can't afford it, because when you use the promo code GANG, you'll get 41% off everything. So go to tjritchie.com/deals and use the code GANG for that huge 41% discount. See, it pays to know me. Hey, it's TJ, and the TJ Ritchie Show will be a multi-touch marketing option for all the cool businesses in town. I have no idea what that means. That was written by our business department, obviously, for me to read. If you're a cool business, I guess you know what it means. So go to tjritchie.com and find out more.
He's radio royalty in the Carolinas and Queen Charlotte's sweetest prince. It's TJ Ritchie on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
Yes. All right, everything's good. Ready to get going. Everything's good and nasty. All right. Thank you so much for listening. And if you sat through that opening segment, thank you for that as well. For my being a hysterical fool. I'm just conscientious. I didn't want to be late, so that was the thing. And I missed these two fine gentlemen in here. I couldn't stand being away from them for another minute. We have grown so close. Lonnie,
I appreciate you not being late either.
Lonnie, and then and this fella. Some people say his name's George. I don't know. And then that Isaac, that's supposed to be the regular, producer guy in here every night. He went on vacation the day after I started, and he sent a picture to us today from the beach. And I'm not gonna lie, it made me jealous. And I don't like him anymore. He's all right. Okay. I was a little bummed out because John Redcorn got killed. The guy that does the voice of John Redcorn on King of the Hill. He got in a dispute with his neighbor in Texas, and the neighbor allegedly shot him, killed him. And he was just about to start on the new show. They're bringing King of the Hill back. And that was sad. But I don't know what the fight was about, Those neighbor feuds and stuff, they can get nasty. I don't know if y'all watch those shows on A&E or Investigation Discovery about the neighbor wars. I mean, that's craziness. That's why I don't talk to my neighbors. I don't have anything for them. I swear I lived down the street from what seemed to be the nicest guy one time. I lived down the street from him for over 10 years. The day we moved out of that neighborhood, you know what I thought his name was? Red Jacket. That's what I thought. Because every time I saw him, he was wearing a red jacket, so I called him Red Jacket. There was a video that I saw on the news today, and it was a brawl that was going on it just said Disneyland. And it was a young couple and they were fighting with another young couple, except the mom of the other young couple had was holding like it looked to be about a 3-year-old little girl. And I mean, it was about something about cutting in line for some attraction there or whatnot. And I'm watching this video. It just said Disneyland. So I said, what is going on? Everybody in this video that's fighting is Chinese. What is this about? But then I looked a little closer and I read the story, and it was from Disneyland, China. So that explains that. But it gets in a full blown like elbows to the face and punches, and one of the women was trying to break up the guys, and then the mom holding the baby was not baby, but the little girl was trying to reach in with the other hand and kind of pull them apart, and then the other woman just runs at her and shoves her little girl in the head, and then she collapses to the ground and starts screaming, and then somebody comes and gets the little girl, and then they all start fighting, and then somehow the woman who was with she didn't have the kid, that one, she's wearing bunny ears on her head for some reason. I don't know. Adults that are all obsessed with Disney, that's a whole different day of analysis. But she seemed to be one of those, standing there as an adult waiting to meet the characters with no kids around. But I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I don't have anything against you. We just don't have anything in common, probably. So in the scuffle, she ends up getting her top ripped completely open, and it looked like she wasn't wearing a brassiere, my dear. Like, hey, you need a brassiere, my dear. Crazy, all out there in front of these children. So you don't really, I guess nowadays you start expecting more and more of this kind of stuff. In U.S. America, you would, but in China, I don't know, Xi might have people killed for something like that. I don't know. But you don't normally, or you shouldn't really expect to see adults brawling at Disney World. I mean, I've been to Disney World many, many times with the charity that I used to run, and I never saw that. Now, I've seen parents have meltdowns on their children, just yelling and screaming and stuff. Usually the moms, but never fisticuffs. So here's what I want to know. I want to know where the strangest place you have seen a fist fight is. Like, did you see a fist fight break out in front of the casket at a funeral? Because one sister took the dearly departed mother's, prized vase that she thought she was supposed to get when mom died. Where else would be a strange place that you would see a fight you wouldn't expect? Anywhere during church, I'm sure it would be unexpected. It depends on where you go to church. You used to would have expected to not see a fight on the Little League fields between the adults, but that's all the time now. Because people don't have any sense anymore. They're not raised right. They don't have manners in a lot of cases. I remember when I was a kid, my best friend's dad coached the Little League team, and he got in a fight with another dad that rolled up on him out there complaining because his son wasn't getting enough playing time. And I look up and they were fighting, and you would have thought that the world was coming to an end. The parents were like, "Get these kids away. no, don't go. And I'm like, my parents aren't here. I can go over there and look if I want to. You don't tell me what to do. I was like 8 or 9, but I was from the streets, so that was my mentality. So 704-570-1110. If you've seen a fight in a weird place where you don't normally see fights and people just don't know how to act. Have y'all ever seen a fight somewhere you wouldn't expect to see? Or y'all go places where you expect to see fights? Lonnie?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you see a fight in the club or at a bar or something, that's one thing. But I mean, at a kid's baptism or something, you wouldn't normally expect to see it there.
Never.
And I look at that kind of thing and go, don't. Now, I don't believe in taking anything off of anybody, but are you really around people in situations like that would want to fight you or do something to cause you to get in a fight? I mean, like, I'll see things on social media all the time where a fight will break out and you go, what in the world? Why are you fighting at your wedding? You see a lot of wedding fights on social media. You know what? When I get onto the X, the videos that pop up for me and my interests are politics, fights, recipes, and fishing. So I'm get a pretty broad array of things that just show how how unsophisticated my level of entertainment is. And some of those foreign countries, they're cops. They don't have to act like our cops. They'll put people down. But be that as it may, strangest place you've ever seen a fight, 704-570-1110. We'll see if anybody wants to participate and how interesting their stories are coming up next.
The TJ Ritchie Show.
Hey, it's TJ, and everybody in the country is talking about my new political talk show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT, and they want more. How can I get more? Well, you can get the podcast every episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just get signed up for it there. It's easy. Just go to tjritchie.com, and that will get you there.
He's America's coolest conservative. Welcome to the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
704-570-1110 is the phone number. The question is, where's the most unusual place or inappropriate place you've ever seen a fight because of this group of people getting into a brawl at Disneyland, China? It's craziness. While people are getting lined up to talk on the phone, here is a place where you wouldn't expect to see a fight. At the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office between two employees. That's a hot news story going around town. This is bad business. There was this was out about 11 o'clock outside a jail at the Charlotte City Magistrate's office on East 4th Street. Two female civilian employees at the arrest processing center were arguing when one of them stabbed the other. That's not even a fight, that's a stabbing. The injuries were serious but not life-threatening. Neither of the employees involved was a sworn officer. Sheriff's office arrested Lakeisha Easter, who was a fingerprint examiner. Now, does that mean she takes the fingerprints or she reads the fingerprints? If she's an examiner, I watch a lot of crime shows. documentary, like crime doc shows and stuff like that. But I don't know, is that what she's doing? She's examining, like studying the fingerprints, or do they just say the person who's taking the fingerprints is an examiner because it's a more flattering title? I don't know. I ought to know that, being an amateur FBI profiler like I am. She was hired April of 2012 and was fired Monday. Some people call that yesterday. Charges are forthcoming. Okay. But, man, does it have anything to do with the fact that some people theorize that women have a hard time working together? Some people do. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that some people think women don't work together very well in certain situations. Like if you got several women in a workplace, it seems like that one of them is on the outs with the group at all times. Now, that one can be on the outside and the others are mad at her, but then they move them in and out. So the one that's on the outside that they're talking junk about can get brought back in if one of the inside ones says something that they don't like or does something. Then the other one gets brought back in and she's part of the, can you believe that blah, blah, blah said that? And then she's on the outs for a while and then she'll come back in. Another one will be, I've heard that is the situation. I'm not saying it's a fact. I've just heard that. All right. So let's see. Rob, where's the strangest place you saw a fight?
Yeah, good evening. First of all, I enjoy your show. I usually don't get a chance to hear too much of it because I'm on my way home a little bit earlier. But tonight I had to stay a little bit later at my client's home. I'm taking care of a gentleman who's a quadriplegic.
Yeah.
And, and he can't be left alone for even a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to wait because of some uninterrupted, some things that came up.
Well, I'm glad you're listening.
Yeah, I enjoy it. In 15 or 20 minutes I usually catch up before I get home. But anyway, just to provide some context, a couple of things. First of all, I'm an American who happens to be black.
Yeah.
I just want to put that down on the table.
Okay.
I am a semi-retired registered nurse, an RN/BSN, bachelor's degree in nursing /PHN. I'm a public health nurse certified. Okay, I go into people's homes and the places that people don't want to go.
Right.
Okay, and take care of people.
God bless you for that.
And it's a calling, brother.
Yeah,
it's a calling.
I know it is.
Okay. And I served my country for 13 years in the United States Army, and saw and did some things that I'm not particularly proud of, but I was doing them for the United States of America, so I'm proud of that. Okay. Now, having provided some context information, so I was a travel nurse for 20 years. I was a nurse for 24 years. I'm still a nurse because I'm still working.
Right.
But not as often.
So where did you see the fight?
Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia, okay? The great state of Virginia.
And what was...
I'm working in a trauma center, okay, in the oncology. I was an oncology nurse, and I was working in an oncology center, and not too many people have positive outcomes in that. They're all got cancer.
So the fight was there in the oncology center?
Yes.
And was it two patients or two family members or what?
No. Please, you're taking the meat away from me.
Okay, well, so I'm just trying to get to it because we're running out of time.
I am.
Okay.
Well, I'm sitting there, and there's a family at the end of the hall, a black family, okay? And they got 7 kids in the family, okay? And there's 5 girls and 2 boys. And I'm sitting there doing my charting about 20 feet away, and all of a sudden I hear this ruckus in the hospital at the end of the hall, and it happened to be my patient. So I looked up, okay, And in the hallway, okay,
Yeah.
on the floor, okay, 5 of the siblings are rolling on the floor, kicking each other, and throwing haymakers. I'm not talking about I'm talking about haymakers.
So a full-on brawl.
Swinging purses, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and using canes outside mama's room who's dying of ovarian cancer. 7 Negroes, okay, behaving like Negroes, and I'm not going to use the other word.
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
in public.
All right.
In public.
Wow.
And so we had to, we called the security, and they only had 2 security there in the hospital, and they run up, and they said, oh, no, we can't stop this. And by that time, the other siblings came out, and they were screaming and using the N-word, all over the place. Now, remember, we in a public place.
That seems like it's just
And there's
too wild to handle.
Other people on the floor who are dying.
Yeah.
And outside their mother's room who's dying. And guess what they fighting about? Who's going to get mama's house?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it seems to always be in these situations.
3 of the daughters said they wanted to cash mama's house in. The other 2 said no. And the brothers, smart, dumb as they look, but smart as they were, didn't say nothing.
Man.
And then,
well, that's crazy, Rob. Thank you. That sounds super wild. Thanks for calling. Talk about a passionate storyteller. I mean, he was feeling that. That is something. Woo. I got a little more than I bargained for on that. I could listen to him tell stories all day. Almost did. I get caught up and forget that I'm on the radio. Awesome, man. So, I don't think anybody's going to top that one. So we might as well just shut the phones off for the rest of the night. You feel me, Lonnie? Okay. I mean, that's the showstopper right there. Let's take a sledgehammer to that phone. I don't know if it ever needs to be used again. Thank you, Rob. It was awesome, man. Okay. We got something coming up next.
It's TJ Ritchie.
I am the #1 influencer for that fancy company called Cozy Earth. They sell all kinds of stuff, everything from clothing to bedding, and I will admit it is all luxurious. But don't be thinking that you can't afford it, because when you use the promo code GANG, you'll get 41% off everything. So go to tjritchie.com/deals and use the code GANG for that huge 41% discount. See, it pays to know me.
There is a great site we have found for golfers called pinsandaces.com. Pins and Aces is a Colorado-based golf brand making premium polos, head covers, and gear that perform on the course and stand out everywhere else. Made in the USA with quality you can feel. Go to tjritchie.com/deals and get 21% off using code GANG. Or go to pinsandaces.com.
Podcasts, and cool social media content. Get all the TJ you can handle at WBT.com/TJ. Now, back to the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here, but you know good and well, whenever Mr. Winterbull left the radio station today, those police let him through that roadblock. I just feel it. I can feel it. The roadblock that sent me into a tizzy. Yeah, I said tizzy. That's what I said. You peoples. All right. I'm still America's coolest conservative, though. There's no doubt about that. You know it. I know it. We all know it. But I am all out of sorts here because I don't know. It's just been weird. This it's not even been an hour, and it's been weird already. Y'all making me nervous. Making me nervous. So as I was looking through the internets today and the social medias, I ran across some of these basketball pundits saying that, that whole thing that they're always saying about the WNBA players need to be paid as much as NBA players, and a lot of times though it's people like those hens on The View who don't know anything about sports or marketing or anything. But this was people who are basketball analysts and stuff, women, maybe some former WNBA players and whatnot. And then there's that famous clip of Angel Reese, who said, quote, "If y'all don't give us what we want, we like sitting out." Meaning, if the WNBA doesn't pay the players what they want, they're just not going to play. Like they'll go on strike or something. I don't get that. But for those of you who don't know how the WNBA works, it's basically a charity league. It's the NBA's charity. The NBA pays for the WNBA. And the WNBA loses about $40 to $50 million a year. It doesn't make money. It loses millions and millions and millions of dollars every year. So to threaten, if y'all don't give us what we want, we like sitting out. To threaten not to play in the WNBA, it can only be a sigh of relief from the NBA. Like, oh, well, I mean, we tried to have a league. We tried to keep it going, but they said we didn't pay them enough, even though we're losing $40 million a year, so we're going to have to just shut it down. You imagine if you own a business and part of the business that's losing you that much money every year, somebody says you got to shut it down. You'd be like, hey, don't threaten me with a good time. I'll do it. So to put that in perspective, that would be like if you and your family are homeless and Habitat for Humanity decides to build a house for you. And then you meet with the people from Habitat for Humanity and you say, look, y'all either going to build me the big mansion that we want, or we like sitting out. We're not participating if you don't build us the exact mansion that we want. Habitat for Humanity. I just find it hilarious. You know why? Because it's hilarious. That's why. The gall. And I always wondered, do they not know? Like, has nobody told Angel Reese, who's one of the big, the most popular players in the WNBA? She played for my LSU Tigers. But has nobody ever told her, hey, look, not only does this league not make a profit every year, it loses millions and millions of dollars. So just the fact that they give you a platform to where you can get sponsorships and things and endorsements and all is a blessing. And why do they do it? That's what I want to know. Why does the NBA feel like they have to continue with the WNBA if it loses that much money and all? Is it just virtue signaling, as they say? I don't know, because I'm not a big basketball fan anyway. I know living in the Carolinas, you're not really allowed to say that, but I don't like basketball. If I'm going to watch basketball, I will watch college before I will watch the NBA. The only time I watch NBA is when my little friend Jenny is at my house and has money riding on one of the games. That's the classy way of saying she has a wager on the game. But why would they do that? To lose that much money? Hey, what could you do if you canceled the WNBA for 1 year? You said, hey, we're going to take a year off and take the money that we would have lost on the WNBA and donate it to a charity called the TJ Ritchie Show. I mean, think about how much positive and worthy things you could do with that. It doesn't seem like a smart business thing to me. You know, I'm no businessman. I mean, I can't even do basic math. So you already found out two things about me tonight. I have the directional sense of a kindergartner, and I can't do basic math. Yes, it's a good thing that I am so talented and so charismatic and so handsome, or I would have starved to death by now. I don't have skills. I don't have any skills except, you know, being blessed in those other areas. Looks, talent, personality, charisma, riz, as they say, the kids. So I'm going to try that. Next time somebody's doing something nice for me or sacrificing for me, I'm going to say, you give me what I want, or I'm walking. I might try that with my wife. I know that'll get me a long way, won't it? George is saying that he hadn't even met my wife, but he has. He's met wives, so he's met mine. Okay. If you have any thoughts on that, I think why I'm confused and how you can clear that up, you know, the number is 704-570-1110. People tell me they like hearing me talk to listeners on the phone. I don't know why. Seems like a little like it's eavesdropping to me. I'll up listen to my calls. No, I don't. I don't know. I don't know what that means. If it means you need to shut up some and let somebody else talk or what, but I love talking to you. So call with whatever you got. Anytime. You call here anytime you want when I'm on the air. That doesn't mean that you'll be able to get through because, I mean, you should see how these phones start lighting up when I walk in the room. It's crazy. Ugh. You have no idea. Okay, so coming up in the next hour, I have to get things rearranged because I've just been picking and going with the things that I knew that I wanted to talk about, but in no particular order. So I got to go in and figure out what I've already talked about and what I have left to talk about. But I do know that we're going to talk about the situation with the terror suspect, quote unquote, from Boulder. And where his situation is today, and how more of this needs to happen, the way they're handling him. I know Brett Jensen was talking about Megyn Kelly today. Well, Megyn Kelly was talking about something that I think she could have easily gotten the material that she was spewing from me. She's great and all, and I know Brett Jensen was going on and on about how talented and wonderful she is, but I mean, she could be taking my material. And I'll lay out the evidence for that. Megyn Kelly. Don't try me. And we're gonna talk about in the next hour why the Democrats can't get young men to vote for them, or men in general are leaving the Democrat Party, as well as why Pride Month has lost a lot of its popularity. We'll get into all of that. Hey, it's TJ, and the TJ Ritchie Show will be a multi-touch marketing option for all the cool businesses in town. I have no idea what that means. That was written by our business department, obviously, for me to read. If you're a cool business, I guess you know what it means. So go to tjritchie.com and find out more.
News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT proudly presents America's coolest conservative. Well, proudly could be stretching it a bit. Welcome to the TJ Ritchie Show.
Thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate it. And if this is your first time listening, then you should know that we like to rock. Uh-oh. Big DJ announcer voice creeping in. All right. Happy Tuesday evening to you. I better stop doing that, or they'll try to get me to voice all this stuff. They'll be like, "Oh, your voice is so golden." And I'll go, "I know. Don't try that." Okay, so this Colorado terror attack suspect, Mohammed Saleman, a.k.a. Cockroach of the Moment, he is detained, and it seems like he's just spilling everything he's proud of what he did with his homemade flamethrower and Molotov cocktails that he attacked the peaceful elderly people with. Illegal alien, screaming "Free Palestine" as he did it, allegedly. Now I'm seeing his mugshots today, and he's got one of those big bandages on his ears like President Trump had whenever the leftists tried to kill him. That one time they tried to kill him. And then President Trump had that patch on his ear, that big bandage, and then somebody, was it Joy Reid, said that it grazed him. It didn't really hit him, it grazed him, like she was trying to downplay it, because she, even former NBC host Joy Reid had enough sense, which she doesn't have much. She had enough sense to know that when that happened with Trump and he stood up and started yelling "fight," that people who may have been on the fence about him realized then, this is a man. This is a man. This is who needs to be leading us. So, as dumb as Joy Reid is, and she is, I think, in my humble opinion, she's dumb and crazy. She even recognized that, so she was trying to downplay it. But anyway, this cockroach has burns on his face and a big bandage on his ear. I'll give him credit. He's got really thick hair. And as a man who doesn't have thick hair, I get jealous of that. But I guess he turned the gas on himself because he told the ICE agents and Homeland Security people that he planned on killing himself after he did what he did, according to the stories. So now he's all burnt up, got a big thing on his ear. Ugh. Illegal alien, forgot to mention that. He came in because Biden and his people just love the professional Democrats that are in charge in Washington absolutely love people who are anti-American and violent. You know, because they know that they're easily agitated, they're easily programmed, like little cult members. So they just love it. Save your tears, AOC. We know you don't care. She came out talking about how this was such a devastating atrocity and whatever else she said. Chuck Schumer, blah, blah, blah. We know you're not getting anything by us. We know that these are the kinds of people that you prefer over Americans. The proof is in the pudding, as Medea would say. The proof is in the pudding. So, what did Trump's ICE and Homeland Security do? They went right to his residence because they figure if he's illegal, whoever's in his apartment is going to be illegal as well, and they scooped him up. They're deporting his wife and 5 children, I think he has. Because why not? You know, and then the anti-American pundits on the left, like, well, they didn't do anything. Well, if they're here illegally, they did something. And he should have thought about what was going to happen to his family when he got out there acting a fool. Being a bigot and a racist and whatever else he was out there being, allegedly. I just don't get it. I don't get how it's even a conversation in U.S. America where you shouldn't be in the country, yet you are. How do people sit and with a straight face say they shouldn't be deported? Now, I know you take into consideration certain things that are built into our immigration laws, but that's what I was saying the other night. If you are in the country as a guest legally and you say something that is anti-American or anti any group of Americans, you're spewing hate on our soil, get out. Your status should be revoked and you should be sent back. Duh. But this is on the Republicans right now to pin it on the Democrats and not let up. You know they wouldn't let up if anything, like they lie about stuff that happens with things like this and try to make people believe that they're Republican supporters and we need gun control. Like as soon as somebody shoots something or somebody, they're like, we need gun control, these right-wing extremists and whatever. And they're lying when they say it. We're telling the truth. They love these kinds of people. They love them. They've recruited as many as they can possibly squeeze over the border, and they've put them in U.S. America to go to the streets and fight their fight for them. Look at these universities, the way they do. These are all just modern-day professional Democrats. And the Republicans should be pinning it on them. Every time a camera and a microphone is put on a Republican politician, they need to let them have it. They need to use brutal language, plain truth about what's going on. This guy is here and did what he did, allegedly, because the Democrats wanted him here And a lot of them are still going to fight for his staying here. I just wonder, this is when I would like to have somebody who's an attorney stand up. I could just call and go, all right, will he be executed here? In our prison system, will he be executed? If so, could he let the townsfolk do it? Like bring him to, I don't know. Take him to Guntersville, Alabama, somewhere like that, where everybody's either got a gun or they're given one when they go outside every day. I mean, come on. Somewhere in Georgia or something. I don't know. All right. So coming up, there is a situation happening with our culture that is a big change. We talked about it last night. We have more analyses about it tonight. So you're not going to want to miss this. Hang on. It's next.
The TJ Ritchie Show.
I am the number one influencer for that fancy company called Cozy Earth. They sell all kinds of stuff, everything from clothing to bedding, and I will admit it is all luxurious. But don't be thinking that you can't afford it, because when you use the promo code GANG, you'll get 41% off everything. So go to tjritchie.com/deals and use the code GANG for that huge 41% discount. See, it pays to know me.
Identifying liberalism and mocking it relentlessly. This is the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
Yes, here we are, late, live, and local on the flamethrower, WBT. Throwing flames, ramming, jamming, slamming, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. I love you. Wait, there's something. Something's happening here. This is amateur hour. I'm not a real news person or a real news talk host. But something is going on. It seems like it's outside the Paper Doll Lounge. So yeah, is that right? Okay, it's outside the Paper Doll Lounge, and we're going to go to WBT's own Nikki Johnson now reporting. Nikki, what can you tell us?
You from Charlotte. This is where your great-great-grandma used to strip at. Your grandma and your great-great-grandma off of Wilkinson. This is the original Pink, baby. That's the original Pink, P-Valley. This is where your great-grandma used to strip at in Charlotte.
Okay, Nikki, thank you for that report. I don't want to think about my grandmother and my great-grandmother scripting at the Paper Doll or anywhere else. What is that about? Hey, y'all think the news department will get mad that I did that? I didn't mess up their credibility or anything. It wasn't a real news person from here. It's a joke. I hope they don't. Oh yeah. Brett Jensen didn't break that, did he? I broke that. Breaking TJ. Broke that one. That's right. Thank you, George. Okay. So there is a young celebrity named JoJo Siwa. And JoJo Siwa became famous on the reality show Dance Moms. She was a little girl. And this was a reality show where this crazy lady ran. She was a tough dance instructor and ran a dance school and all the stuff that they put the kids through and all of that. It's very, very drama-filled and dramatic, if you will. Well, she went on to become a celebrity in other areas. She was on Dancing with the Stars. As a matter of fact, I think she won Dancing with the Stars. And she, I don't know exactly when, but at some point, she was a lesbian. All during Dancing with the Stars, I believe she was a lesbian. And then now, all of a sudden, she shows up with a new boyfriend. So she's head over heels. And she confirms this relationship with the fellow named Chris Hughes and says it's not platonic anymore. Okay. Now, let's see. She was in a relationship with an Australian actor named Kath Ebbs, I guess, who identifies as non-binary, meaning she doesn't say she's not a man or a woman, I think is what that means. So now JoJo Siwa is hetero, I guess, for the moment. Now, you see a lot of celebrities during the big trend of everybody talking about being non-binary and identifying as a member of the opposite sex and all of that. You'll always see celebrities jump on what they think is a good trend that they can use for promotion. Singer Sam Smith has been several things, and a lot of, I don't know this for sure, but it seems like that he would change his, I don't know, whatever you call it, what he identified as, he would change whenever he had a new album coming out. This is what it seemed like. So now with this news of JoJo Siwa, there a lot of people are saying that, you know, once she was past being able to get, you know, publicity and marketing out of, I'm not saying I believe this, I'm just saying that's what a lot of people are saying, that she decided, I don't need to be a lesbian anymore. I milked that for all I could get out of it. But it does, it has brought up a lot of questions this June as opposed to last June. Like we talked about last night with a lot of these corporate sponsors pulling out of sponsoring gay pride or pride things, LGBTQ plus. And why this is happening. And it's happening because I'm speaking to the quote unquote queer community now. I think that's okay to they refer to themselves as that. It happened because y'all acted a fool. You went overboard. Because most people in U.S. America were glad, no pun intended, glad to give you what you deserved as far as being treated equally. And, you know, if you were in a same-sex relationship and that's, you know, how you live your life, then most people were like, okay, great. You shouldn't be mistreated for that. Because that's what the argument was for. That's what the fight was for, to be treated equally. Love who you love and not be judged by it or not be condemned for it. But then the next thing you know, the radicals took over, which happens in all of these cases where you're dealing with leftists. The radicals took over and ruined it. Because it went from just being glad that people can live their lives the way they want to live it, as long as they're not bothering anybody else and all that. It goes from that to the pride parades being basically sex displays in public, and then transing children, and saying that anybody who disagrees with having these sexually graphic books in the elementary schools is committing genocide, and basically putting lives at risk and getting in people's faces and telling them, you better believe this, you better act this way, or we're coming down on you. And teachers putting up the flags in the classrooms and forcing the children to learn all of these things that have nothing to do with what their education should be. That's what hit people in the face. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. I mean, it was so popular for especially straight white women to run around saying they have a gay friend. This is my gay friend, or I'm going out with my gays tonight. You know, it was cool to a lot of people. That's what they thought. Oh, hey, look, how great is this? He can be out of the closet and he's so fun and he da-da-da-da-da. And then it jumps from that to kids coming home from school in the 3rd grade saying, we have a book in our library that talks about graphic sexual activities. So it's not that people have now been led by Trump to not treat you fairly or not to treat you equally. It's that people look up and go, wait a minute. This is too much. We don't want our children exposed to this. And you know who will tell you that more than and faster than anybody else? A lot of gay people who don't go in for all of that, living out fetishes in public and things like that. Like an older gay person will quickly say, you're ruining it for everybody. Stop. People don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. So with all these people pointing the finger of blame and playing victim and all of that stuff, just take a step back and then just realize what happened. You went crazy as a movement. You went ballistic in the eyes of most common Americans. Most common Americans of all colors, of all creeds, of all sexual orientations say that it was enough. That's what happened. Not Trump. Not Trump. But Americans have eyes. And when you start bringing their kids into it, that's when they stand up and go, wait a minute, no. Okay? All right. Well, hang on. We got a lot more coming up next.
It's TJ Ritchie.
Hey, it's TJ, and yes, it is going strong. The TJ Ritchie Show. It's my new political podcast on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT, and you need to sign up and get all the inside scoop on everything and get the special little perks by being a member of the Ritchie Gang. Be a gangster. Just go to tjritchie.com and sign up today.
Late, live, and local. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just to, further cement that this is not my night, there are these blinds behind me, and they're so cool. They say 11:10 a.m., 99.3 FM, WBT, Charlotte's News Talk, and then it says radio.com on it. Really cool. Look like a backdrop, like a step and repeat, they call it, like they have at press conferences and things. So usually I have them all the way down so you can see that. And I look behind me, and the one directly behind me is still up a little bit. So I grabbed the little chain and just give it just a gentle tug to lower it all the way down. And as soon as I pulled on it, this happened. If you can hear that, that's the chain coming completely off in my hand, hitting the countertop. Now I'm going to get blamed for tearing up the blinds. So when that Bo and Beth get here in the morning, they're divas anyway, which they should be. They're the morning show. Morning shows are the big deal. I used to be one. Now I'm stuck here at night. They're going to be like, who tore up the blinds? And then somebody's going to say, that lowly night guy. And they're going to go, I knew they should have never let him. He's not coming back in this studio. Gonna have the sun blinding us now. Well, send me the bill, y'all. Okay. This ain't my day. Megyn Kelly has been, I don't know, she and Beyonce have a little bit of a beef with each other, I guess. She said something about Beyonce in her attempt to be a country music artist, and then she found out that now Beyonce is on tour, that Beyonce has a big screen that pops up, and it's a screen during the concert of Megyn Kelly saying that Beyonce, negative things about her and all of that kind of stuff. But I logged in about Beyonce's country music efforts way before Megyn Kelly did. And I would say nobody knows about it because nobody knows about me, but I was approached by the New York Times when I gave a review of Beyonce's country album on my Instagram, TJ_Ritchie, RITCHIE. It was about a 3.5 minute piece. And the lady from the New York Times reached out to my manager, wanted to know if I would do an interview about it. And you know what I said? New York Times? Hell no. I'm not talking to the New York Times. No thanks, lady. See, that's the difference between the way I am and the way Republican politicians are. They would have taken that opportunity and said, yeah, I'm going to get some publicity. I'm gonna change some people's minds. And they would have gone on an interview with the New York Times and gotten ripped for it. Stupid. So I thought maybe you would find this interesting. My take on Beyonce's becoming a country singer. So this was in April of 2024. So way back in the day, as the kids say. So let it rip. I figured this argument would be over by now. It would have been settled, but I just noticed that it hasn't been. And the argument is whether or not Beyonce's new album called Cowboy Carter is country music. And I figured, as one of the most well-known and well-respected radio and music experts in the entire country of U.S. America, I would go ahead and settle it right here, right now. All right, let's look at Cowboy Carter. What do we have so far? She just released a remake of the Dolly Parton classic, Jolene. But Beyonce changed it up so much, I don't even consider it a remake. I consider it more of a sample. She sampled Dolly Parton's Jolene for a new song, is what she did. So let's go back and look at the first release, Texas Hold'em. Now, I like the song. I love it. I think it's great. I see why all you ladies wanted to put it on your TikToks and your Instagrams as background music. I get it. It's got fun beat. It's got great energy, as the kids say. It is just infectious. I love it. I love it. But it's not country music. Not country music. I'm sorry. You see, country music is supposed to reflect a distinctive culture in America. And people say, well, Beyonce's from Houston, so it's country. Well, just because something is Southern or somebody is Southern doesn't mean that they're country. Those things don't necessarily go hand in hand. But it's not about the traditional country culture. It's not a reflection of that. For example, if Prince Harry all of a sudden came out and said, all right, I am recording a hip-hop album that talks about the life in the streets in the inner cities. I mean, nobody would believe this. It's not believable. Or if Leo DiCaprio all of a sudden dropped a blues album, nobody's buying that. Nobody's buying it at all. Now, Beyonce does have soul in that song. She sings it with soul, but it's not country soul. That's very different, country soul. Now, Travis Tritt has always had country soul. Cody Johnson has country soul. Jennifer Nettles and, Chris Stapleton probably has more country soul than anybody who's ever done it, And then other arguments are, they play it on country radio. Well, just because they play it on country radio doesn't necessarily mean that it fits into the traditional country definition either. There are a lot of songs that are played on today's country radio that aren't really traditional country. They're pretty far from it. It doesn't mean they're not good. It just means that they're not country. Now, I know all you crazy members of the Beehive are ready to spit on me right now because you're mad. You want this song to be country. You want this album to be country. Why? Because Beyonce wants it to be country. But life doesn't work that way. I mean, you can put kittens in the oven, but that don't make them biscuits. So, it's been settled. Man, I can't think of anything I've ever done that seemed more narcissistic than that. Come on to my show and play me as an expert on something. Play a video, audio of me being an expert on something. It just doesn't get any more obnoxious than that, I don't think. But I'm right. And the New York Times was ready to roast me over that. But not today, kids. Not today.
The TJ Ritchie Show.
I am the number one influencer for that fancy company called Cozy Earth. They sell all kinds of stuff, everything from clothing to bedding, and I will admit it is all luxurious. But don't be thinking that you can't afford it, because when you use the promo code GANG, you'll get 41% off everything. So go to tjritchie.com/deals and use the code GANG for that huge 41% discount. See, it pays to know me.
Bringing the heat. Whatever that means. This is the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. So glad. We usually say I'm so glad to be here. But after the mishaps that I've had tonight, I want to say I'm glad to be going home soon. But no. I'm going to tell you what, the worst day in radio is still great. That's not true at all. I've been through some some bad days in radio. Bad. I'm just, I'm trying to act like I'm all positive about stuff, which I usually am. Unless you ask my wife, and then I'm a grouchy old man. And I've been a grouchy old man since I was in my late 20s. So this is pretty scary. A 23-year-old man was nabbed by Secret Service agents early this morning after hopping the wall around President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort, telling officers he wanted to, quote, spread the gospel, end quote, to Trump and wed his 18-year-old granddaughter, Kai. Anthony Thomas Reyes was busted just after midnight and confessed to arresting officers that he had scaled the wall surrounding the Palm Beach, Florida property. And Wednesday marked at least the second time that Reyes has been caught trying to get inside the exclusive club, with the previous instance occurring on New Year's Eve. He was initially charged by state authorities with trespassing, though federal charges are likely to follow. President Trump was in Washington at the time of the incident. The White House spokesperson said, "The president is aware of this incident and has been briefed." The Secret Service did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Mar-a-Lago is a federally protected area. All the guests there are subject to security screenings prior to entering the property, which there are a bunch of signs posted warning people not to trespass. But, I mean, you get somebody who's that crazy, they're that blinded by reality, and a sign is not going to stop him. I mean, he knows that you're not supposed to scale the wall and try to get to where the president and his family are. You would think that he would know not to do that. The club was not accepting visitors or guests, and the gates guarded by the Secret Service personnel were closed at the time he scaled the wall. It's unclear if Kai, who's the daughter of the president's son, Don Jr., was at Mar-a-Lago during the incident. You know, she's the one that did such a great job at the convention when she spoke. She's a really bright young lady. You know, this family is under attack from all sides, you know, and Donald Trump didn't have to have any of this. You know, he was, as everybody knows, completely set financially. He and his family would have never wanted for anything, but he chose to go into politics because he really saw that the country needed guidance and that things were just out of control. I mean, imagine what this man has been through. Just constant from the time he, as they say, came down those escalators to announce his candidacy the first time. He has been under vicious attack from the media and those Marxists, as well as the Marxist Democrat leaders and the fake charges and investigations and impeachments and everything they could possibly do to break him. 74 criminal counts against him, having to fight every one of them in courts in this state and that state. And just, I mean, he is a remarkable man. I don't always agree with him because I'm a more traditional Reagan conservative. But there is no question of his toughness, his mental toughness. And then when he gets shot in the ear, then you see his physical toughness. He's an inch away from getting a bullet through the middle of his head, 2 inches. And he jumps up and pumps a fist in the air. And now you have to deal with everything from Marxist Democrats coming after you all the time to maniacs trying to scale the wall to get to your granddaughter. It's just, man, it's what I'm saying is that, yeah, he's the most protected person in the world and his family is protected, but still, how unnerving would that be, even if you do have all the protection in the world, that some maniac was able to scale the wall to try to get to your daughter or your granddaughter because he thinks that he's going to marry her. I can't even imagine. Yet, there he is every day, facing it all. And, you know, those craziest of the professional Democrats, the commucrats, like Representative Shanae, what's her name? What's her name? Jasmine Crockett. You know, having to deal with her stupidness all the time, and just insane. But He's the type of person that will look back and go, well, they didn't break me. They threw everything at me when his term is up. He will say, I stared them all in the face. I fought back, and they could not break me because they threw every single thing they had at me. And they have. And even if you're a Democrat, you've got to stop and think, wow. My people in Washington and all over the country, my politicians have tried to bring him down in every way. I know you get frustrated with it because a lot of times you get brainwashed by them and you think, well, he really did commit all those crimes and he's a felon and he's all this stuff. But it's just remarkable. So the guy's 23. I don't know if I mentioned that. How is he able to show up causing this trouble twice? That's what I don't get. I wonder how high that wall is. I mean, this is a 23-year-old guy and he's in really good shape. But I couldn't scale this countertop if somebody asked me to do it. Much less scale a security wall twice. And I don't know that I could have done it when I was 23 and in shape. I probably could have, but I'd end up hurting myself somehow or another. I wonder what he means spread the gospel. Does he think he's a preacher or something? See, this is the kind of stuff I'm interested in. I want to be in the psych evaluations of these people. You know, the part that interests me is what were you thinking? What do you believe you were going to accomplish? You know, obviously, glad he didn't hurt anybody. But now that he's been detained and they can do psych evaluations on him, I want to know about that. And then what do you do with him? Obviously, the first time he did it, they didn't do much with him because he's trying to do it again. I don't know. Do you think that that at least they would have a picture of him, like he had bounced a check or something, and say, "Don't let this guy up here, and don't let him write a check." I don't know. I guess they'll figure it all out. The great one, Mark Levin, is coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I am the number one influencer for that fancy company called Cozy Earth. They sell all kinds of stuff, everything from clothing to bedding, and I will admit it is all luxurious. But don't be thinking that you can't afford it, because when you use the promo code GANG, you'll get 41% off everything. So go to tjritchie.com/deals and use the code GANG for that huge 41% discount. See, it pays to know me. Hey, it's TJ, and everybody in the country is talking about my new political talk show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT, and they want more. How can I get more? Well, you can get the podcast every episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just get signed up for it there. It's easy. Just go to tjritchie.com, and that will get you there.